Hello and welcome to the IFL Liverpool show. Good morning or evening or afternoon or wherever you're listening to us from. I am your host, Reeker, and with me is my trusted partner in crime, Coley Mack.
Ladies and gents.
Wow, what an intro. What an intro. We are here with you for the next half an hour or so to chat all things LFC. Good to be back in your lives again. We have a lot to get through, Coley. Shall we?
We do.
Naby Keita. We're going to discuss, if it's happening. Do you think it's going to happen? And what do you make of this guy as a footballer anyway?
Well, it looks nearly like there's a bid. Well, word is that there's a bid about to be made. So terms have been agreed, and again, it seems to be the player is happy to come, which is always a good thing. And it's always what you want, and it's what seemingly that Liverpool have been doing in their transfers is that if a player isn't interested in coming, they don't really search after them. They're looking for players who are really interested in coming in and joining the project. So Keita seems to be one of them. From what I've seen, and again, like everyone else out there, it's YouTube. So I've seen YouTube clips, and from what I've seen of him, I like. He seems to be, and you don't like to pigeonhole players. Well, players get easily pigeonholed, but to me, he looks like he could be a Kante, who's got an eye for a goal and an eye for a pass, like an all-round midfielder. So
I've watched the same videos as you, possibly. A lot of people are going to say, look, YouTube can make feckin' Luis Alberto look brilliant. However, he does look particularly good in these vids. There's a lot of different action from different scenarios on the pitch, defending, attacking, passing. One thing I will say, he reminds me, I know it's a different position, but he reminds me of Sean Phillips' style, the way he runs, Sean Wright Phillips, the way he runs. But obviously, people get confused. They think he's a defensive midfielder, but from what we can tell, he's actually just a central midfielder with a defensive head on his shoulders, but his attacking is better than any defensive midfielder I've seen for a while. He has a real eye for a pass and a goal. His finishing is very good.
Yeah, he looks box to box.
Box to box. He's only 22.
Which is unusual these days. You don't get too many box to box midfielders.
You don't.
You get teams trying to specialise in attacking midfielders, or versatility to being able to swap one side to the other. But very rarely now have you got too many box to box players. So he stands out in that regard. He's 22, so he hasn't, you can say he probably hasn't reached his full potential yet, hopefully.
Can I ask you, are you worried about having another African player on the books? That'll be 3. If we got him, that's 3. I know it's only next year and we shouldn't be worrying about it because we still have this season to play. But there will come a time when the Cup of Nations is on, and where if they're 3 first teamers, we're going to be down 3 first teamers. And you know what happened when we were just down 1 first teamer last time out. So it could be a conundrum.
Yeah, it was a conundrum for us last season, but that's because we had no one to fulfill that position. In saying that, Salah's brought in kind of to help Mane out maybe in that position, but Salah could be away as well. So there's 2 for the same position. But again, injuries played a fact. But in terms of Keita, I think, listen, you can't be thinking about things like that when you're going to buy a player. Is he the best player for the team for the season that you can get in? He seems to be top drawer, to be honest, for his position. And again, as I said, Kante won Player of the Season last year and could have probably won it the season before. This is a type of player who I think Liverpool badly need. The back 4 was too easily got at. I think he solves up that problem, to be honest.
Okay, here's a segue for you on the subject of Salah and Mane. Is it possible that the Ox could replace either of those should they go and do get a long run of games in the Cup of Nations, because he's rejected his latest contract offer. He's got a year left, I believe, and he is, well, personally, I think he's a good player.
It's going to be interesting to see how this pans out.
What's the most you'll pay for him?
1 season left on his contract. 25.
Yeah, I would have thought that as well. Yeah.
Simply, I'm wondering where the Ox bid is coming from, to be honest, because I think we've plenty of players covering plenty of positions, and here's another midfielder coming in. I thought midfield was, as I say, Keita was maybe the missing piece in the midfield partnership, or the midfield jigsaw as such. Oxlade coming in now and kind of going, okay, well, maybe, as you say, part of the front 4-3-3, so one of the wide men there. But you'd have, who would you have? You'd have Salah, Mane, Lallana. Who else plays that way?
Maybe Ojo, and that's sort of it. That's why Oxlade-Chamberlain is, there could be some logic to it.
True. But yeah, so listen, I think he's got, he is only 23, and it seems like he's been around for ages already. But would I put him, if, again, looking at quality, you're looking at Keita, thinking, right, here's a guy who's 22 and he looks like he's signed, sealed, and at the package, and here's Oxlade, who at 23, he's got a lot of work to do to get to that kind of level. So, but again, he's 23, so he's got the time. But
do you think playing under a manager like Klopp would make him exponentially, here's a nice word for you, exponentially better? Because look what he does to players. He brings the best out of players.
That's exactly why Klopp was brought in my eyes, because he gets players in and he makes them a lot better. But yeah, listen, Oxlade-Chamberlain, it's what I'd be interested to see is, again, as if it is going to happen, how the relationship between Arsenal and Liverpool is after the whole Suarez kind of thing.
Yeah,
the 40 million and £1 deal. So I don't know how willing Arsenal will be to deal with Liverpool after that, though I suppose it's a few years since that's gone on, but still I think there's a bit there. So I'd be interested to see if Arsenal act the maggot as such.
Speaking of getting the best out of players, I have to talk about Sturridge. Okay. Are we going to get the best out of him this season? Because by all accounts it looks like he's staying. Klopp I think he put a block on any outgoing links to him. He said it would be too expensive to replace him in the current market, which, yeah, it would be. It would be. If Sturridge can just give us 3/4 of a season, happy days.
Well, yeah, listen, if Sturridge can get back to the season he had with Suarez, listen, you wouldn't want anyone else in there.
But even last year when he played very little, the games he did play in, he was coming on scoring or making goals. He was creating.
Listen, everyone knows, especially Liverpool fans, know the ability of Sturridge, and that's the frustrating thing with him, is everyone knows the ability he has, and yet he's not getting game time. I think the Sturridge thing, as I was saying to you earlier, I think that can be read two ways. That can be read, Klopp is sending a message to fans or boardroom members, the way I see it, a way to either say to fans listen, okay, we're sticking with Sturridge. It's also a way of boosting Sturridge's confidence, is that he's been backed publicly by Klopp, but it's also sending a message to the fans saying, listen, the board aren't willing to back us by someone big, especially when you see someone like Aubameyang is out there at the moment, and just talking him going to China, and he's available for 60 million, but they'll spend 50-60 million on Keita and 50-60 million on Van Dijk, and yet a striker they won't spend 50-60 million on, and he's world class. So I think that could be Klopp tactically using that as a way to announce to the board, listen, either get the finger out where you're leaving me with Sturridge for the rest of the season, or else, as you say, he is thinking of sticking with Sturridge for the rest of the season, which isn't a bad thing if Sturridge is fit.
There's also the possibility that Klopp has something up his sleeve, like a Mane, that we knew nothing about, even though a lot of fans now say, oh yeah, we knew about that. We didn't know anything about Mane. That was a shock to the system. A beautiful shock, it turns out. But is there a striker on Klopp's radar that he's thinking, it's not this Aubameyang guy, it's not this Mbappe guy, there's this guy here that I want that no one has thought of. I actually did think it might be Lacazette, who's pretty much gone to Arsenal today for 53 million. I think it's a little bit too much for him. I have watched a bit of him. He's good, but he goes missing out a lot in games. Bit surprised he's gone to Arsenal because they're not in the Champions League. I thought he would have gone to a Champions League team. Yeah. Anyway, we're digressing here. The point is, Klopp could have something up his sleeve, and Sturridge could still just be that bench player that he wants to bring on as a little bit of magic in a game that's missing it.
Do you know, I originally thought that Origi was going to be that guy, Lewandowski. That
has he kicked on? Not really.
No, and I wouldn't mind. Was it the end of last season where he got a good run again? Or it could have even been the season. I think it might have been the season before. At the end of it, where it was the end of the season before, where I thought, my God, this kid is going to be great.
Yeah, he was scoring really good goals from really unusual positions, like banging in goals and not getting a run in the team, just bit part, but still maintaining a sort of momentum.
But the best bit of his play for me, even though he was banging them in at that stage, was his hold-up play.
Yeah, he was holding the ball well.
He was beasting the defenders around.
It's strange. Football's strange. It can change so fast. At the end of last season, people were giving out that he couldn't hold the ball up. He was playing terrible. Just like this first 2/3 of last season, people were giving out about Chan, saying, get rid of him. It was a waste of a Liverpool shirt. And now people are saying, because he scored that goal and he did play well. I always liked Chan. I just wish he'd kick on a bit more. He's not young anymore in football terms, but people are saying keep him at all costs. Give him. He still hasn't signed a contract either, by the way.
Thing I notice about Chan, or what I notice about Chan, is Chan doesn't come in cold. Well, he needs a couple of games.
Yeah, he does,
to get going. And when he gets that, he's like a slow engine. Once he gets the engine going, he's quality. I've noticed he's stopped the surging runs as much. He's a lot more controlled in his game. Listen, people were giving out that, Chan getting a 70 grand contract. What the hell? With what's gone on this summer?
Oh, it's cheap as chips. Give it to him.
You'd give that nearly to the ball boy.
Okay, definitely give Chan the money. Speaking of money, I need to bring up Moreno and Sacco. There's money there that could be spent on, I don't know, maybe give it to the Keita kitty. But there's money that can be spent on a good striker there. That's burning a hole in someone's pocket. There's also the Markovic money. There's players we need to get rid of. I saw there was I don't know where I saw this, but it was basically Chelsea's outgoings.
Oh yeah.
They've sold, I think it was 6 or 7 players that, let's face it, never will ever get a look in the Chelsea team. Granted, Oscar was one of them, but they'll never get a look in. And I think they've raised 127 million.
Oscar was half that.
Oscar was half that.
He was 60.
He was, but still.
And
they've raised 67 million with guys that, let's face it, we're never going to get a look in. Why do you have guys in your squad that aren't going to get a look in if you can get the money and get in guys that are going to get a look in? And we have a really good, I think we have a good youth system. They're never going to get a chance if you have the likes of Markovic there, who you have to give a chance to if they're going to be there to justify paying them what you're paying them. You get me?
No, I wholeheartedly get that, and I certainly like for Liverpool to be seen to be giving youth players the opportunity, because I don't think, obviously, clearly Chelsea do. or City for that fact. And they've got two of the best youth setups in the whole of the country. So I like for Liverpool to be given youth players a shot. And listen, there's only a few clubs in the country that really are known for doing that, and Liverpool are up there. They like to promote youth, so definitely I think I can agree with your point there that, you know, there's no point in having these kind of players hanging around.
Can I ask you, on that note, we do have some good youth players. That's a given, but they aren't getting the chance that they need to. And I'm speaking of, in particular, Ojo.
Well, he
has to get a chance.
He's just back from injury, so
he is, but he didn't get enough of a chance when he wasn't injured. Neither did Ejaria, Woodburn. They don't get enough of a chance because the manager can't give them a chance. There's a lot of pressure in every game, and I mean, if he played two youngsters and we lost 2-0 to Stoke, he's going to get it, isn't he? Also, now we've got young Solanke. He
struggling with that one, aren't you?
Yeah, I am struggling with that one, Solanke. But him and Ojo have just won a World Cup, under-20 World Cup medal. Surely they are the future.
I agree, and this is where I think fans need to get a grasp of what goes on throughout a season for a manager. So a manager will lay out, obviously, I would say, his plans for youth players, where and when to introduce them, and what he will do with them. And it's happening now, as you can see, with word of Ojo was wanted on loan by Newcastle, and
Joe Gomez also looking to, I think is it Brighton?
Brighton, yeah. So, and Klopp saying no. He's his plans in place for these players. Now, obviously, injuries, things like that happen throughout the season, and again, games, the way games are actually going. So going down to the micro on things, the way a game will be going. So you have a player on the bench, and if a game is 2-0 down, he's not going to introduce a youth player to change it. So we have to. I think fans need to realise there's a fine line, and that's why, as I said, the line is so fine that Conte does not take that line, and and Mourinho doesn't either. They do not play around with youth players because the line is that fine.
I'm going to interject and pull us away from the tangent that we just
completely went on,
because we're talking about Moreno and Sacco money, potentially 45 million, 45 million, say there. Well, we'll say 40.
Is that just for Moreno?
Very, very good.
They did say name their price.
They did say name their price. We'll take the 34.9, whatever that was. Yeah, that should cover. What we're talking about there is Roma said to name their price for Moreno. I don't know. I never know what a club means when they say that. Name your price. Oh, 100 million. There you go.
Name your price.
Stupid thing to say. When did they offer a price?
Yeah.
Then again, it could just be stupid paper talk.
Listen, if Liverpool get the 16 million back on them that they paid for it.
No, they only paid 12.
Was it 12?
I was sure it was. Yeah, I think it was only about 12. I'll have to look that up.
It could have been 12 with add-ons up to 16. See, this is the problem now.
If we can get 10 to 12 million for him, look, I know we rejected the 11, but just, this is the point. Get rid of dead wood that isn't. What's he doing? And any time he comes on the pitch, we're all having heart attacks. I'd rather see a young player take that position on the pitch than him.
Completely. But I look at the way Liverpool are doing things now, especially in the transfer market, and I look at the way they plan out the project, and I like the way they're going. I see it being like similar to, and I know fans will go, oh, like why are we following this team? I see it being like very Spurs-ish.
Spurs-ish.
Spurs-ish. To
Spurs.
In that they won't be bullied. They won't be bullied in the market, and I like it. And it takes a while for that to actually come across the clubs, so it's a few years. And we're starting to see it now, that clubs won't just bully Liverpool. Liverpool say, no, this is the deal. And they'll pull out of a deal as well if it gets too rich straight away. Like, it's like, sorry, no, we're not going to take that. Boom.
Yeah.
And after a while, clubs get to realise, okay, this is how Liverpool are dealing with stuff now. like
There is that, but on that point, there's also the fact that we are, if you want to go by the numbers, we're the 9th biggest team in the world. No one's bullying us that's below us. Fact. People,
True.
look, Keita, all these guys that are touted with Liverpool, apart from maybe the silly ones like Mbappe, but we'll disagree on that. But these guys, Virgil van Dijk, they want to play for Liverpool because they want to play in front of Anfield every second week. It's a privilege.
Oh, completely.
So, I mean, we have the power in the market. The reason fans might think we don't is because in the past we have paid over the odds for bang average shite. We have. But those days are over now. I think we are much, much shrewder in the market than we've ever been. And we're looking for a higher grade of player, more so than we ever have in the past. We're going for the top. If we're not going for top, we're going for pretty near to the top end of the market with players.
Oh, completely. But it's like, let's look at it. We're still at the very start of the window. United haven't bought anyone. Barcelona haven't bought anyone. So, listen, I'm not going to get too worried at this moment in time. As I said, Moreno will be out the door. If they get any decent kind of money back from 16 million, perfect. Sacco, highly linked with Stoke.
A few now, actually. I've seen a couple of other ones come out.
Talking what, 30 mil?
Talking Liverpool aren't budging from 30, but look, if they get an offer of 28.45, they'll take it. You can, I mean, it's money, isn't it? It's money that we could be spending on someone else. Which actually brings me to another point that I really want to discuss before the end of this show. Okay, we're talking transfer kitty now, okay?
Yeah.
I know it's silly season, and I try to weed out the good stories and the bad, and I publish quite a few things on our page regarding transfers and
well, you have to.
Blah, blah, blah. My point now is a lot of people commenting on various stories. There's the first type of person that doesn't care about how much we spend on a player. Keita, 70 million, yeah, get him in. Those sort of comments. And then there's the flip side. There's the other fan that will say, 70 million on a guy I've never heard of? That's crazy. Well, what are you talking about? No way. Now, there's an argument for both. And I understand the argument for both. But I've thought about this, and I have thought about this, and I've come up with my own arguments, which sides on the 70 million. Whoa, that is a lot for a guy we didn't know who he was last year. And the reason I say this is a lot of fans will say, look, it's not our money. It's FSG money. We don't give a shit what they pay as long as you get the players in the Klopp wants. Fine, great argument. But to combat that argument, I'll have to tell it as I see it. And it's this. No matter what you think, clubs have a budget. All businesses have a budget. If you go to any business, they have a marketing budget or an advertising budget or whatever. They have a budget. Now, they don't have to spend that budget, but the budget's there, and more often than not, they will spend it, especially in football clubs, to get numbers in. They look at Brendan Rodgers spending his whatever on the likes of Balotelli and just to get numbers because he's scared he'll have to fall back on youth players, which could, be a disaster. So, if your club has a budget of, we'll say 150 million, say. I would have said 100 last year, but now it's gone mental. So we'll say 150. Say Liverpool have a budget of 150 million, which they probably have more, but we're just going on that. If you spend 50 million on a defender, and then another 50 on a midfielder, you have what? Enough for maybe another player or two left?
Yeah.
So if you're pinching those pennies, if you're negotiating for 2 weeks to try and get a player like Virgil van Dijk knocked down from a quotation of 70 million to 40 or 50 if you can, those 2 weeks of negotiating aren't going to kill us fans. I mean, it's always nice to see us buy players and see it in the headlines. Liverpool have signed so-and-so. It's always nice, but let's be realistic about this. Let's get the best deal we can. Because if you're going to start spending 70 million on these guys, not only are you're going to be a sort of a target for other teams that you enter negotiations with, but you're going to run out of money pretty fast. FSG are not going to go, oh yeah, we'll give you another 20 million that wasn't originally in our 5-year plan or whatever, because businesses prospect. That's what they do. That's how. But this isn't a football club anymore. This is a business. How you grow a business and how you maintain a business, a healthy business, is having a plan.
Oh, completely.
And Liverpool we know they have a 5-year plan. It could be even longer. And these plans will incorporate inflation and whatnot. If Liverpool go over that, they're breaking their plan, i.e. putting the club in some danger. I'm going to quote clubs like Leeds and Portsmouth who did that, put their clubs in danger, and they still haven't recovered, and they might never recover. You know, Leeds were a great club, and they're gone to shit because they gambled. We were nearly in administration 7 years ago, you know, and that was from bad decisions, shit signings, spending way over the odds on guys that just weren't good enough. And just because we weren't in that, we didn't have that sort of pulling power, but we have the pulling power now. We have a great manager. We have Champions League football. We play probably the best football in the league. So if we spent 10 million over on the Naby Keita signing, well, that's 10 million we can't spend on the next guy. That's my take on it.
No, I
and
agree.
Clubs are businesses, so they're not going to.
I'm going to stop saying completely for about a fifth time.
But you know what I mean. They're not, the club is not going to put the business is not going to put the club in an unhealthy position.
This is what I was trying to allude to with the whole Spurs kind of model, because their model is very smart, and they've been doing it for years, and that's Daniel Levy. Take your hat off to that guy. He does an amazing job, and that's why I think it's not a bad model to follow, because it's very good at buying low and selling high, and that's how you make money, and that's how you run a successful business. As you say, football, and I'm sure you're the same, Painsy, to say it is a business now. Of course, that all came along.
Is a business.
That came along when Sky came along, and that's a long time now. A lot of our young...
when you start to see more American owners in the league than English owners, you sort of realise, okay, this is a business.
Yeah, exactly. And you have Chinese consortiums buying up teams left, right and centre. But yeah, I agree with you. There's no point in being ludicrous. You could be smart. You could be smart and still get good players in and still compete. And there's no point. Like, listen, you can be Abramovich and you can be like your man at Man City, Sheik, whatever. Sheik.
You can if you have the money, but we don't have the money.
But
what you're alluding to there is there's a frustration amongst fans about not getting deals done fast. I think the Virgil van Dijk one sort of has started a ball rolling in a wrong direction there, because fans feel if you don't get it done fast, we're never going to get it done. I don't think that's true. I think if you negotiate as much as is needed, you'll get the best deal for the club, for the health of the club, and you'll make your budget stretch as much as it can. Look, if we're going to... I'm not saying FSG are going, there's 150 million, we're not going a penny over. They'll probably go a million or two over. I mean, but they're not going to go crazy over it, because it's not justifiable to put your club in an unhealthy position. Plus, let's not forget, it is a business. FSG want to make money. Let's not pretend here. They need to make money to keep this justifiable for them to own it. What's the point in them owning something they're not making money from?
But that's a good thing for Liverpool fans.
It's a great thing.
If FSG are making money, it means Liverpool are doing well.
It means Liverpool are doing well. It means everything's healthy.
Yeah.
You know,
so this idea that, they're only in it for the money.
If they just want to throw money away down the drain, then, I mean, it could go belly up.
Well, that's what Hicks and Gillette did.
Yeah.
So, listen.
Borrowing off loans. Just, this has come out recently. John W. Henry is the 4th biggest contributor to his club's finances. I think a personal contributor to his club's finances in the league. He's ahead of the Man City guy, Mansour. He's ahead of ones that you would not expect.
Yeah.
fans are saying this is a bullshit. This is a bullshit stat because you're not taking other things in consideration. But he's up there. That's the point. Yeah. He's there or thereabouts. He's not just taking money.
Again, going back to, I saw an article today. I think it was the Express that the top 20 clubs across Europe that are in debt and what their debt was like. 4 of them were English. One of them was Liverpool. Liverpool were the lowest of the 4. It's 16th, I think, they were, with 145 million in debt. You know who one of the other ones was the ones up the road, Manchester United.
Really?
They're number 1, 450 million quid.
Doesn't surprise
in
me.
the red.
Yeah, that's the Glazier's big loan, isn't it?
Is it the black or the red?
It's the red.
They're in the red. And can you guess who the other 2 English clubs that were in the top 20 clubs in Europe in debt?
God.
So you've had Liverpool and United.
I'm going to be silly and say Bournemouth.
No.
Stoke? No, not Stoke. They're usually quite good. I have no idea.
Sunderland.
Okay.
180 million in debt.
Wow. What's this debt?
Debt.
Yeah.
Debt.
Whatever. I thought they were all dying there.
They are dying, literally.
E. coli outbreak.
The second biggest debt owed by an English club is Queen's Park Rangers.
The supposed money bags of the championship.
242 million.
That's fucking mental.
Wow.
Wow.
So
indeed.
wow. Imagine if they went down another league. If they got relegated from where they are again.
Crazy. Okay. We are going to approach our last subject here, and it's come out today that Jurgen is going to experiment with tactics, or at least has not found his ideal first choice 11 and tactics. What do you make of this?
Well, it is something that was levelled throughout the whole of last season, wasn't it? No plan B.
But we're talking about his plan A here.
Well, listen,
which was a 4-3-3. He changed it a little bit at the end of the season when he put Coutinho back, so it was essentially a 4-2-1-3.
So I think that suits Coutinho as well.
It does.
I think it suits Liverpool. I think that's what he's going to do this season.
Coutinho was brilliant for the latter. I mean, when he came back from injury, people were going, what's happened to him? He's done nothing. Then he tweaked it a little bit and he got better. And then he put him much deeper and he was really pulling the strings.
Yeah. That's Coutinho's role, I think. I think that suits him. I think he prefers playing there. He seems happier. But in terms of the experimentation of tactics, listen, innovating is always good. So I don't mind him experimenting maybe pre-season if what he does shows some kind of reward in pre-season, then that can be a good thing. Getting teams to try and figure you out is hard enough. Like you saw with Chelsea last season, terrible start to the season. There was even talk of them not even making top 4.
There was talk of Conte getting the sack.
Yeah, and that was coming up to near Christmas.
Yeah, that's when we beat them.
And then all of a sudden,
Henderson's belter.
They changed the 3 in the back, and no one could figure it out. And then,
but not only that, they were playing the likes of Alonso on one wing and then Moses on another. And let's face it, these aren't world beaters. You know, It just goes to show when you put a certain player in his ideal formation and role, they can shine.
Well, this is it. Listen, you get a player and he gets playing at that level, whether he's playing regularly or not. If he's at that level, he's clearly a good player.
Oh yeah,
clearly.
If you're playing in a Premier League team, you're a good footballer, no matter who you play for.
Exactly. In terms of the tactics, I'm interested to see. I look forward to it. It's a good thing. We've always got the 4-3-3 that you can rely on, because at the end of the day, you'll have Mane and Salah out wide.
Yeah, we touched on that subject earlier with the Oxlade-Chamberlain link. If he was to come to Liverpool, he's a versatile player in that he started on the wing, and Wenger's moved him into midfield, where I thought he looked brilliant. I thought he was probably his best position he's ever been in. But Klopp, I can't reiterate this enough, Klopp loves players who can play more than one position. He loves it. He loves players with more than, with the 2 feet that can play in more than one position. That's why you'll see Firmino, when he came to Liverpool, was an attacking midfielder, even a midfielder, and Klopp's played him up front. I know he drops deep, but he's played him up front. He's the most forward player we have on the team sheet. Oxlade-Chamberlain could do that in that he can play in central, and if the boys go in the African Cup of Nations down for a long way further down the line, he can cover that. He also has the likes of Coutinho, who can play out left. He can play deep. He can play behind the striker. He loves players that can, and even this Naby Keita link, he can play a defensive role, he can play an attacking role, he can play that free role in midfield where he can pop up everywhere, very much like Lallana does. Lallana will start on the left and then, my God, he could end up anywhere. He has he has the freedom because Klopp trusts in what he can, what he can trust in different positions that he can cover if he needs to.
Well, this is it. Like, people talk about Klopp's tactics and the Gegenpress and all this. What Klopp likes, and as you say, Klopp trusts players. And he likes the versatility of players chopping and changing around the pitch at any time. So you could have Mane popping up on the left or Salah on the right, and vice versa.
They both have 2 good feet.
Yeah, but what he likes and the basis behind his actual training methods is that every player still has to be responsible for knowing where they are on the pitch at any given time and what that relates to in terms of the team's vulnerabilities,
the movement of the whole.
And everything. So having someone like Oxlade-Chamberlain who comes in, who can play out wide, play in the middle, he's used to being in those positions on the pitch and what's expected of him. So
there's an argument to say Oxlade-Chamberlain, Klopp could turn him into a striker. There is that argument because he's got the pace, he's got an eye for goal. His finishing is a lot better than it used to be. He's only 23. You look at the likes of Thierry Henry, who started out as a winger at Juventus, Arsenal's greatest striker ever. You look at Milner, who came to Liverpool as a centre midfielder. He's now our first choice left back. These stranger things have happened. And Klopp, if you're going to say anything about Klopp, he thinks way outside the box. He's that confident in his training methods that he believes he can turn feckin' Simon Mignolet into a bloody striker. He believes he can make players much better, and he has foresight to see where they probably have better attributes than we would conventionally view these players.
Yeah, no, he does do that. He does it very well. Pep probably does it as well. Moving Mascherano from centre midfielder into a centre half. But yeah, we'll have to see how that narrative transpires, to be honest. At the moment, I don't see tactics changing too much with the players that we have in. But obviously, if things change over the coming weeks, I think that might play a bigger factor in that, really,
Okay, that's it. Thank you very much, Coley Mac. We'll wrap this up. If you're still awake, thank you for listening. Thanks for joining us. Before I forget, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And for those of you listening on YouTube, we have a Facebook, which is both of them are IFL Liverpool. We're also on SoundCloud, I believe, and the Twitter.
Yeah.
All the platforms, yeah.
Yeah, that's more platforms than the 70s.
Oh, very good, very good. See, we're not just footballing experts, we're comic geniuses. All the links to our various 70s platforms are in the description. If you have any views on the subjects we've spoken about today, please leave them in the comment section. All that remains to be said is thanks for the time, and we look forward to doing it again. Goodbye.
And Godspeed.
Do you like me now? Is this another waste of time? Just one more